a rat-a-tat-tat. Oh hey, look at this, better audio quality. This is nice, big upgrade from last time. Anyway, I bet a lot of people didn't expect to be talked about at all, nor any Transformers scenes. Maybe, I don't know, I haven't seen a playlist update since, it was launched, but who cares? Transformers Prime is, in my opinion, Transformers at its best. Great fights, great stories, great characters, but better is a fantastic version of Megatron and Starscream. While these two have had history since Generation 1 days, it's been mostly a history of pettiness and frankly kind of stupidity.
I'm stupid!
Yeah, sure you are, Screamy. But where Prime is different, it all comes down to this scene here.
The fact is, Starscream, despite your treachery, I've allowed you to carry on this long because I took a certain delight in following your string of failures. But you finally become tiresome, predictable. You've hit rock bottom.
Master, please! Give me one more chance! I beg of you!
This scene is fantastic for several key reasons. I'm about to break it all down. Starting with the context for the scene. In Transformers, one of, if not the most recognizable duo, is Starscream, the sniveling coward who is desperate for control, and Megatron, the brute who's kind of a brainless idiot sometimes and yet is in charge all the time. Standard Saturday morning crap, no one really needs to matter. It's not bad. But it's more or less the fallout of Generation 1 that is fantastic. In the early 2000s and 2010, both Decepticons have gotten more mature, is the term I'm looking for. The character has evolved into a much more hyper-competent leader, using size and skill to command respect from those around him in shows like Animated and Prime. Starscream has become even more reflective and a much better planner. I mean, in the comics, the dude literally became the leader of Cybertron, and then had an internal debate with himself if he was a good enough leader. Now that is pretty freaking cool. So the basic scene context being is that after almost an entire season of Megatron being out of commission and Starscream leading the cons, Megatron returns and finds it fit to investigate some old Energon mines the Decepticons used to have under their belt. And while Starscream is constantly trying to lead Megatron astray, get him out of the mines, saying the mines were lost years ago, and yet Megatron begs to differ. Going down to the chasms, we get the scene at hand. So, why is this a great character moment for Megatron? Well, let's go ahead and break it down. Megatron, using surveillance of his most loyal officer, corners Starscream, his traitorous foe, in a cave in the middle of nowhere, despite Starscream pleading with Megatron that the mine is abandoned. Megatron pulls out his card and exposes Scream's lie to his face. And then we have this moment here.
Yes, clearly. Every last trace of Energon extracted?
Lord Megatron, I can explain.
Explain what? That you've been hoarding a supply of Energon for your personal use?
No, not exactly. You see, I just...
Do not take me for a fool, Starscream.
Megatron is now in full control, and the scene emphasizes that with the music cut out, as Megatron explains how easily he caught on, how amusing Starscream's failures are, and how Scream has hit rock bottom, is all shown from Scream's perspective. Case in point, every shot for the rest of this scene is in a low angle on Starscream, high angle on Megatron, and wide shots showing the size comparisons. Not only are we shown how powerful Megatron is, towering over his subordinates, marching Starscream back with just his words alone. Speaking of words, holy god, Frank Welker kills as Megatron once again. Getting Peter Cullen on as Optimus is one thing, but getting the OG voice of Megatron, and this voice is killer.
The fact is, Starscream, despite your treachery, I've allowed you to carry on this long because I took a certain delight in following your string of failures. But you finally become tiresome, predictable. You've hit rock bottom.
the chill, the raspy pains, and the boom of the voice in total. Like I said before, this is the voice in a version of Megatron that commands respect and fear. Not to mention the words and actions. Take this shot, for example. Megatron movements, word choice, and expression. It feels like he's on a stage of Shakespeare, taunting the protagonist before some duel. A Tybalt, one could say. Wait, this analogy doesn't make any sense. Back to the scene at hand. Megatron backs Starscream into a corner, wrist cannon aimed down, ready to kill his first lieutenant. That's until the Autobot RC rolls in. And I think this is where Megatron's warrior side comes out, because within seconds, Megatron recognizes the details of the situation. Before him is an Autobot, one of Optimus Prime's top lieutenants, one who's watched Megatron's dreams die before him, and is a bot that's eluded and outwitted his own troops many times over. And then there is Starscream, a soldier who has begged, cried out, and failed several times in the past. In a few seconds, Megatron recognizes who the true target should be, and he acts.
Stay down!
In almost an instant, both sides spring in action, and much like before, the scene continues to play with Megatron in total control. RC jumping in the cover, not even getting a chance to fire back, as it is just constant gunfire over and over again. Megatron continues to show his hyper-confidence and power, putting fear not only in his traitor, but the enemy just with a look and several blasts. However, that confidence and power only dies when Starscream makes a break for it, which leads to a line that's honestly caused some confusion.
Starscream, you dare abandon me!
Now here's my take on the line. Early in the scene, Starscream was begging for another chance over and over again, and so this was his chance. This was Starscream's one and only hope of redemption in Megatron's eyes. And he ran. And because he ran, Scream went out and turned his back one more time on Megatron, and it did break the Lord of Chaos finally. Enough to let his anger get the better of him, lose his control, and fall victim to a giant rock. This scene not only highlights Megatron's complete control, the fear he strikes into others, his strategies, but also his key flaw of spite and pettiness. His anger, and when that anger boils over to take control, and seeing how this is about the third or fourth episode of the series to feature our big bad, I have to say, this is also a great way to let the audience become familiar with him. He's not some sniving idiot who's just constantly barking orders. He is a planner, a strategist, a warrior, and a terrifying titan. So, that was my selection for one villainous scene. And let me tell you, holy shit, there are a lot of scenes to choose from. From Berserk's Eclipse, anything of Heart of Ice, Thunderous Applause, Hellfire, Rage and Serenity, the porch scene. Oh my god, the porch scene. Kaiser Soze reveal, Scout Pilgrim Gideon. There are so many villains. And I'm so excited to see what everyone else has to say. Till next time, everyone. Stay super.